This is football primetime. Without Billy Dean, late to the show, couldn't figure it out. Probably is going to use an excuse. Hello, everyone. I am Sam Wu here with AJ, another fellow co-host that actually shows up on time.
Gives an effort.
Yeah.
So Billy has his rants of, the Jets and, his diehardness, and this is my rant here. Me and Sam, log in 10 to 15 minutes early. We prep our notes here. Billy strolls in at like 6:58, 6:59, a minute before, doesn't give any effort and just shows up. No practice, nothing, and just shows up, and it's disheartening, man.
I mean, let me tell you something. You could give me all the show notes you want, but if you don't show up on game day,
yeah,
it's this is what Billy Dean does.
Yeah, it means
he
nothing.
gives us the playbook, but he doesn't show up. So what's the point?
Yeah, it's really disheartening, man. Especially after we're a full season in. Episode 14, 15, something like that.
For what?
We've started, Billy.
Billy can't show up on time. He just,
AJ,
mails it in.
You think this is episode 14? This is episode 26. You can't even count.
Well, you know what? At least I try here, okay? I show up.
All right, so what are we talking about? We're talking about how much the Jets suck, or are we talking about just me?
We're talking about if Tom Coughlin was the producer of this podcast. We came here 15 minutes early, which means we were on time. You were 15 minutes late, so I don't know.
Well,
did you get fined?
Technically, I was 5 minutes early, but then I had to rewrite my router because my internet sucks. And this is just a great plug for Verizon. Optimum sucks. So.
Oh, you have Optimum now.
Yes, it's terrible.
I'll explain all the tech stuff behind the scenes, but what it does is it thinks that you're Napster because there's some hidden code within that whole network.
I'm some jerk.
When Shorts Guy switched to Optimum because not to his choice, Optimum bought his cable company. The same thing happened. It just throttles.
No,
I have.
See, I had Verizon. You have Optimum?
Yeah, I have no problem.
Wow.
Oh.
Excuses.
Well,
excuses
you're in Morristown, and you're in a big complex where I'm sure they want the internet to work. I'm in Randolph, where Verizon, I guess, there's a Verizon a half a mile down the street, like the store, and on the other side, there's one of the factory stores. But in my little stupid neighborhood, Verizon's like, sorry, buddy. So I had to go to Optimum and be like, hey, I know I told you that you sucked, and I didn't want to have you anymore, and now I need you. So.
Yeah. But don't the New York Rangers own Optimum?
Yeah, you want me to go complain to Dolan? I complained about the Rangers, so why not complain? I see him. I mean, obviously, this is a football show, and we're talking about internet, and we're talking now about the Rangers. But I see him, walking Penn Station every now and then, coming down the back way out of the Garden, and I've given him some grief before. So
I'm surprised he hasn't banned you yet from the Garden.
Well, it's because I'm not in the Garden. He can't ban me yet. And actually, for all those idiots that got banned, why would you give them your ID? You don't have to.
No, the thing is,
no, because all those people that got. Well, no, but I'm saying he had security take the people and usher them out, right? And then he had to ID them, and then that's how he got them banned. Why would you give them your ID? You don't have to.
I guess if it's like the.
But it's not a cop; it's a security guard. Like, listen, I'm just gonna leave the arena. Like, that's it. Because I told the guy he sucks. I need my ID so that I can be banned for life. Like,
I guess they could do the whole, banning him from like trespassing, kind of thing, and then.
Why he paid for the ticket? It's not trespassing.
Well, he was unruly or whatever. I don't know how.
I mean, I'd be like, go after yourself.
I would just say my name is Charles Oakley.
Yeah. Ban me, bitch.
All right, let's talk a little bit of football. We need to talk about football because you're eating right now. We're not even talking about football.
I'm having pizza because I'm watching some football. I have some beer. Actually, I have a cider, a Dead and Buried hard berry cider by Hawks. We usually do the drinking on the hockey show, but I do the drinking all the time. But yeah,
I have a question.
Go ahead, buddy.
To start. So I am participating in one of these. I don't know what kind of league it is where you got to pick one team to win. So you
Survivor
League.
Yeah. So I got two teams. I picked the Bengals to win and the Bills.
Oh, you picked two.
Yeah, because I have two spots. Actually,
this
the
week,
boss has two spots.
Yeah, always the boss has two spots. Yes. All right, so you took the Bengals and the Bills this week?
Yes. How did I do?
Both. Yeah, smart. Bengals are gonna.
Oh wait, are you talking about last week that just played, or you're talking about
week.
In 2 days? Yeah,
No,
I mean, I think who'd you take last week? You didn't even tell us.
Bills and the Broncos.
Oh, so you could take multiple teams, the same team. You could take the Chiefs the entire season.
Yes.
Or
all right, or anybody that's playing the Detroit Lions.
Or the Jacksonville.
So
or the Jets.
I don't know if I would pick against Detroit all the time because they've been playing pretty well. They've just been getting
this
unlucky.
This week is tough. This week is really tough because there's a lot of evenly matched. Like you want to have like Tampa Bay versus some no-name team, like the Jets. But
see my picks this week would be between Tennessee because they're playing the Jets.
I don't know that.
Are you kidding me? They suck. The Jets stink.
Both their top wide receivers might be out.
We're going to get into this in a minute. Oh, I know. Well, that's fine, but you have Derrick Henry, and there's the linebackers on the Jets are 225 pounds each. They're going to be that commercial where Henry is coming off the video game and he's just the guys are holding him as he's running through like a whole bunch of different things. That's what's going to happen in this game.
That's fair.
Yeah, so Tennessee would be one of my choices. You said you took the Bills, right? That's
Bills
against Houston. Good idea.
Yeah.
Cincy against Jacksonville tonight is a good idea too. It's just Thursday games are always weird. Trying to think if you would want any other one. Right, San Fran plays Seattle. You don't want to touch that. Denver, Baltimore.
I say Washington, Atlanta is interesting, but
the way Tampa, New England
played.
Tampa, because you know that Brady's going to go in there and whoop some ass, especially after losing last week, and then he's playing his old team. I know Belichick's there, and he's going to scheme him pretty well, but Brady's going to smoke him, and he's going to make sure that Mac Jones looks like a rookie. So, I think you did pretty good play with Buffalo and Cincy. The only other team I would say would be Tennessee. That's the only other team.
Green Bay, Pittsburgh might not be bad either.
Who is it? I think Buffalo is a 14.5-point favorite. I think it is. Right?
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It is. It's awesome. So, Sam, before we get into the Jets, and obviously everyone wants to hear me rant about Jets, but what about your Giants? What are you thinking right now after a pretty tough loss?
I was telling AJ before the podcast that the Giants could easily have been 2-1.
Yeah.
Shooting themselves in the foot, penalties after penalties after penalties, the gruesome injuries, losing Blake Martinez, Nick Gates. Yeah. It hurts, but they still could have been 2-1.
They could have.
Yeah.
And I'm a little worried about the coaching. I like Joe Judge. I think I'll always like him.
I do too.
Like he's got an answer for everything. But at some point, winning is going to solve everything for the New York Giants. So, in my opinion, they need to just simply start winning. And they're going to have a tough road ahead. I mean, they could easily be 0-5. 0-5.
Yep.
By the end of week 5. And the Giants are not even relevant. And it's still September for just another few hours. And that concerns me. Now, if they can start playing more discipline and these penalties start to go down, I think they can win a couple big ball games.
I think so too.
One concern
Yep.
that I had going into this season, how will Daniel Jones fare? I think he's a good quarterback, but he's going to have to make things happen where you can say he's a great quarterback. Right now, I don't think mostly this is not his fault. I won't even blame Jason Garrett on this at all. I think the Giants just need to execute. And some of the coaching is a little questionable with the timeouts and challenges and all that. And I think that's the inexperience of Joe Judge, being an NFL head coach, but he should be getting it right now. I think some of the calls are questionable, his decision making, but at the same time, I think he'll figure it out. But hopefully it's not when it's too late, that when the season is out of reach by week 8. And that's. But if they're going to go on a streak now is the time, because they need to, and they're also playing some great teams. And maybe if they can get themselves to 3-3, which is going to be a lot to ask, that would be a huge accomplishment. Huge accomplishment. But right now, I'm not betting on it.
No, I mean, looking at their schedule, right? I mean, you got this week, playing. Why am I blanking now on who they're playing this week?
Saints?
The Saints. Yep. Thank you. Then, which I think, I know, Jameis is, he had a good week last week. He had a week, bad week the week before. He could throw a pick at any time and look like the same old, famous Jameis. Week 5, you have, I'm going to week 5 real fast on their schedule. Where are the football teams?
Cowboys.
At Dallas. Yeah.
At the end of the day, they got to win those games, because at least they are in the NFC East, and it could be another scenario from last season. Now, Washington just barely beat. Actually, the Giants beat themselves against Washington with that penalty, and just being lackadaisical. But they got to win those games. They got to take 2 from the Eagles. They got to take 2 from Dallas. They got to split that one with Washington. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. But I got to tell you, they're running out of time, and I think Gettleman he's on the hot seat.
I think he's gone.
Around.
I think he's gone no matter what. I mean, they'd have to have a pretty incredible season for him to remain. And then week 6. 14 straight, right? Week 6, LA Rams come into town, and that is a tough game.
But even after that, though, you got the Panthers, and they have the Chiefs, and then Raiders. Yeah. All 3 of those teams have been playing well, and then after that, you got the Bucks.
Could you see them at 0-10 or 1-9? Could it be that bad? Though that's a tough slate.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it can happen, but like I said, the Giants could easily be 2-1 right now. But then again, those 3 teams are not exactly, top tier. Well, except for the Broncos. I mean, they're pretty good right now.
Just for podcast, I would enjoy seeing a 0-10 team going into week 12 against Philly with Sam Wu just lighting it up. That would be very funny to see. Actually, it'd be funny if we're both 0-10, because looking at the Jets, looking at the Jets here. Hold on, let me pull up their shitty schedule, because they're just as
even
just
more
as
of a
fun.
dumpster fire.
Tennessee versus Atlanta, which is not any kind of guarantee. New England, which Belichick's going to be like, hey, here's the second loss. Joe Burrow coming in at week 8. Indy week 9. Let's see if Carson's around. 10 is Buffalo, and then 11 Miami. I could see us coming into that week 12 against at Houston as like the chance to get our first win.
What's funny though is I was looking before about projected like draft order and stuff like that. The Jets have the best chance of getting the number one pick.
I saw. I saw you
which
posted
is
this.
surprising to me too, especially after seeing the Giants schedule and
Well, why is it
the Jets
surprising?
schedule.
They stink.
Because I know that, but I'm saying I feel like they have a greater chance. They play the Jaguars, which I could see potentially being a win.
Yeah.
You have the Dolphins, who I don't think have played. Their defense has been good, with what's been 22 straight games or something like that, with a turnover. But I mean, like Atlanta doesn't scare you necessarily. And then, there's 2 to 4 games I would say that are toss ups. Where with the Giants schedule,
It's
the
bad.
only ones that are potentially toss ups are their division games, and even that, but those are always going to be tough, tough sledding. So I feel like they have a better chance of getting the number 1 overall pick than the Jets, which is
Probably.
mind-boggling to me.
Well, that would just be typical for the Jets to,
And would the
have
Giants
a.
keep Daniel Jones? If they had the
Ooh,
first
I think
overall pick.
if that happens,
the way he's played this year so far, I would say yes. I think he's played well enough. The top-rated quarterbacks, I don't think out of this draft have played that great this year, or haven't impressed me from what I've seen.
I'll tell you what, if his
film-wise.
QB rating is over 90 this year, and the Giants get the first overall pick, I think the Giants have been rebuilding so long that I would keep Daniel Jones, believe it or not, because he's done nothing wrong other than not holding on to the football and protecting it. But I think he's going to have to do that if he wants to keep his job. He's got to do those things, otherwise, But everything else, I mean, the guy can run.
Yeah.
The guy's tough. He's
And-
got the respect of his teammates.
He's played well.
Yeah. And if they have a top 3 pick, I mean, I know that there's a couple kids. I think the kid from Liberty, Willis, I think is a pretty good multi-dimensional quarterback. You have Carson Strong from Nevada. But the top
Sean
3
Clifford,
picks.
Penn State.
Sean Clifford, Penn State, yeah. The top 3 picks I've seen are that kid Thibodeau from Oregon, the defensive end, who's absolutely nasty. You have Evan Neal, the lineman from Alabama, and then you have the cornerback, Derek Stingley. They also have a couple safeties in there, Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. But I mean, the Giants, if they could pull a cornerback or the top-rated defensive end at number 1, that's what I want. I want Thibodeau to go to the Jets at number 1.
Yep.
I think he's the top pick. I think he's a surefire, high-end rushing the passer guy. Put him with Carl Lawson.
So, Bill, I do have a hypothetical for you, and this would also be for Sam. Would you trade down from that number 1 pick?
No.
You take him no matter what?
No, because I think, well, I mean, listen, if you have a team at who needs a quarterback at number 2? Say we're looking at the draft now, right? Probably the Texans, right? At number 2, if they were to get the second overall pick.
Yeah.
Detroit might be another one. I don't know if they're going to be necessarily that bad.
I say the Jets should, but the Giants shouldn't. And I'll tell you the reason why. The Jets have too many holes to fill. They need draft picks. Whereas the Giants, they're actually not that bad. But, again, there's a couple things they need to plug. The offensive line, it all goes back to that. The offensive line. I mean, they're playing better, but the penalties are killing them. And defensively, more pass rushers.
I forgot, who did the Bears? Who did the Giants trade to the Bears that they got a first-round pick for? Because they're talking about the Giants having 2 top 10 picks, one from the Bears.
They swap picks so they can pick up that quarterback from Ohio State. Is Ohio State?
They swap. So they gave him a first for that.
Yeah.
So they gave him a first for him. Yeah.
And the Giants picked Tony. I mean, there's more to that deal.
You have the possibility of getting 2 top 10 picks in the draft this year. And for this mock draft I'm looking at, they have the Giants taking Derek Stingley Jr., the cornerback at LSU, who's nasty. That would be really good for you. But then they also have them taking Carson Strong, Nevada quarterback. And I know Carson Strong is a very good talent, but if Joe Judge is there, if David Gettleman is there, they're not going to take a quarterback. If they're not there, who knows if the new regime brings in their own guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, can you imagine that the Giants have a 1-2? A
Oh,
1-2.
the Bears are that bad?
1-2.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, see, if you have 1-2, and I know that's not going to look. If you have 1-2, that means you had arguably the worst season. You had probably the worst season in the NFL, and your quarterback probably wasn't that good. But if you have 1-2 and you can take, Thibodeau and then Stingley Jr. back to back and just destroy your defense, that's interesting. I'd go for that. Man, I wish the Jets
and
had
this
another
is a
pick.
deep draft, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is.
This is a very deep draft.
Yeah,
I say, Bill,
there's a lot of linemen.
We can hope for Seattle to start really sucking.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we do have the Seattle pick. Where?
Yep.
Let's see. Who do they have us taking in this mock draft? This is very riveting stuff right now. We're talking about. Let's
That's how
see.
exciting our seasons are going right now.
We're already looking into the draft. Yeah.
New York is on the clock.
Yep, they have the Jets at pick 18 from Seattle, taking Andrew Booth, the cornerback from Clemson. I like that. That's not bad. I'd rather take the wide receiver from Ohio State. Was it Olave? That kid looks pretty good. Or I'll take a hog molly. Give me a hog molly. Our line stinks. But yeah, so I mean, obviously last week with the G-men, 17-14 loss to the Falcons. Both quarterbacks, I think Daniel Jones looked really good. He was 24 for 36, 266, no touchdowns, but he did have the one really long, good run for rushing attack. Saquon with the touchdown. Saquon looking a little better. He's slowly getting there. Like, not slowly getting. He's going to be. It's going to take him some time. I say at least half a season before you really see him start to be him. But Daniel Jones, yeah, you do. I mean, he had a 15-yard
expecting too.
Yeah, he had the 15 yard run for the touchdown. He had another 6 catches for 43 yards, almost at 100 yards total for the game. Kenny Golladay showed a little more. I know you guys got both Shepard and Slayton hurt, and I think they're both of hamstring injuries, right? I didn't see. Are they out for this week possibly?
No, I think both are expected to play.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a blow too, because that was early on in that game, if I remember correctly.
First quarter.
Yeah, that both of them went out.
First drive. Yeah.
I mean, how much does Evan Ingram stink?
Oh God.
He had the fumble, which was costly, and then he had at least 4 drops. I think he had 4 drops. He had 6 targets, 4 drops. That's
what, and anytime the ball is thrown at him, whether it's his fault or not, and he doesn't catch it, the Giants fans booing.
Boo him.
It's almost it's hilarious. It's like, okay, it's way over his head, and they start booing like as if he was supposed to get that.
Yeah,
he's dropped so many.
Yes, he's been bad.
He's been a big disappointment for you guys.
Really bad.
But somehow he made the Pro Bowl last year.
Yeah, well, that's because all the tight ends were terrible or hurt. Yeah, the tight ends were all terrible or hurt.
Like a 6th option.
Yeah, he was bad. I think he was like a 6th alternate. They just ran out of tight ends to go through, and they're like, all right, Evan, you can come to the Pro Bowl.
Here you go.
Colin Johnson coming out of nowhere, the 5 catches. I thought he looked pretty good. I just, kid's out of Texas, so I think it was a Jacksonville Jaguars pick. Jared, good job. Kid's big, though. He was 6'6". He's 6'6", so he looked pretty good. On the other side, right, I mean, Cordell Patterson had a pretty good game, both rushing and receiving. Matt Ryan made plays when he needed to. He had the 2 touchdowns, and then, they just, like you said, they made plays. The Giants had the costly fumbles, 2 by Daniel Jones, although he covered both of them. And then just on defense, I feel like they just didn't get the stops when they needed to, and the offense just couldn't push the ball. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely tough for a team that needs those games to win, and this was definitely a winnable game and something that they probably should have, along with the Washington game, and that's going to haunt them for a little bit because I mean, like you said, they're going into the schedule coming up. It's tough, and you could realistically be 0-6 going into Week 7 And that's not a good place to be for this team.
Nope. You don't want to be the first team to go 0-17. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's probably going to be the Jets because they
Which
stink.
which is let's go into the Jet talk. Let's do it. Let's get misery out
You
of the
go.
way.
No, I'm just going to let you go first because this is just.
Yeah, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
what do you say? I mean, we thought
Oh, I mean, how about
the
the
week
fact that they haven't scored a touchdown since week 1? They have 6
that's
total points in 2 weeks. I mean, you're starting to get me going here. So, no, I want you to go first because then I want to add on.
well,
So go,
so,
AJ.
so so that was gonna be my thing was we went into last week being like, all right, the worst game possibly of Zach Wilson's career, right? You know, we thought maybe that like this was rock bottom for him for this offense. They could only kind of go up from there, and they lay a goose egg. Wilson throws another 2 picks. This offense looks in shambles. Um, I
It's
have I
bad.
have no words. I mean, I don't. Players that I thought were going to play well. Elijah Moore. Hasn't been anywhere. Coming out of camp, that's all you heard of this guy being a crown jewel. This offense, him being a stud. I haven't seen anything from him. Um, I think Corey Davis has looked good when targeted. For the most part.
Ugh.
Wilson, both of them seem to have a connection, and the running backs. I just want to see more of Michael Carter. I just want to see him play. He's supposed to be a decent running back for us, and just let the feed him the ball. Tevin Coleman hasn't worked out. He's always been a career backup for the most part. Ty Johnson has never done anything for us, since we've drafted him and played him. He hasn't shown anything. Give this kid a chance in Michael Carter to let him play. It's frustrating, being a Jets fan. I'm not gonna lie. I think I turned it off like halfway through, just being like, all right, this is a waste of my time, and I'd rather watch other more exciting games.
Yeah. Time possession was 24 minutes to 35. The rushing Buffalo Broncos only had 120 yards rushing total, but that was at the end of the first half basically, and then the Jets knew they were going to rush the entire time during the second half, and that's why they were stopping them. Red zone attempts, they had 0. The Jets had 0. They did pretty decent in the red zone, for allowing touchdowns against. They only allowed 2. Turnovers, we had the 2 by the quarterback, by Wilson. The one interception was god awful. The second one was off the hands of friggin' Braxton Berrios, who stinks. I don't know. I mean, and first, also, this is another thing. When you have throws like that where the receiver, it basically hits him in the mitts right in front of his face and it goes off, that should absolutely be a knock on the receiver. It should not go an interception to the quarterback. Or you could call it interception, but the wide receiver should have like a giant X. Yes, something terrible for the wide receiver because, yeah, it's just terrible. And passing yards, 119 total. Their first downs, the Jets had 11 the entire game. 11 first downs the entire game. You can't win a game like that. You can't win any games like that. You could play Jacksonville or Houston and you're not going to win. It's Wilson, I heard someone saying that, he didn't throw any interceptions. That's because he just took sacks instead. I think he had, 7 sacks?
5.
Was it that bad? It was 5? Michael Carter, 24 rushing yards total.
I'm saying Wilson's like, I don't fault the kid kind of for throwing some of these throws, just trying to get him out because he's afraid for his life to get
he's under fire,
destroyed. It's so bad.
It's terrible. I don't know who would win between this team and last year's team. That's how bad this is. I have no idea. These two teams stink. I know. Last year, Gase lost the locker room, and I feel like a lot of the Jets players kind of just gave up. I know that's tough to say for an NFL locker room, but it really felt like that. I know that these kids aren't giving up, and some of these guys are trying, but it's totally. It's bad. Braxton Berrios was your second most targeted receiver. Corey Davis had 10 targets, had the 5 receptions. Keelan Cole and Elijah Moore and hell, I'll even give it to Tyler Kroft. these guys need to be targeted way more than Braxton Berrios. And then, I know you said Elijah Moore, how, the off season, the 3 preseason games, he looked pretty good, like dynamite. You have to have designed plays for him to get the ball in his hands. I know he had 6 targets, a couple of bad throws by Wilson, 2 more. But you can see this kid has the talent. He's electric. Like, design more plays for him. Make him a part of your offense as opposed to just letting him go, and expecting something to just happen if he gets one touch. Tim Patrick on the other side, that no one could guard him.
So what happened to Mims? I haven't seen. Has he been injured?
No, he's not injured. They're basically just sitting him. It's actually been really disappointing. I know the guy had 9 games last year straight of like 40+ yards, but I guess his coaching staff is just not a fan of him because they're not playing him, and they'd rather dress someone like, or not dress. I think he dressed too, but they'd rather have someone like Jeff Smith go in and get a target than this kid. I really honestly don't know what's going on with him. I know he was sick. He had COVID to start the season, and he lost a lot of weight. Sorry, not he had COVID. He had food poisoning, and he lost a ton of weight. But
see, that's
it's not looking good.
Like, he looked promising last year too. So you think you have him, and then you have Elijah Moore, and then you got Corey Davis. Who last year played great for the Titans, which.
Yeah, and guys like Keelan Cole and Jamison Crowder, who can be serviceable wide receivers for you. Yep. Instead, we're rolling out Berrios Smith and Ryan Griffin. Like, oh my God, this team it's so frustrating.
To think I made a bet thinking that the Jets were going to get 6.5 wins this year.
Oh, you might. I mean, they might not even hit 3 wins.
Not even close. Yeah.
God, so bad. The one bright spot, I guess, C.J. Mosley was flying all around the field. He looked like the Mosley from Baltimore.
That was a great goal line tackle he had. I think it was against.
Really good.
Who's that against? Was that against Gordon? I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was Gordon the first one. Yeah, and then Gordon ran it in the next time. But, Michael Carter II looks pretty decent as a slot corner. The defense, they didn't really break all that much. I mean, only allowing the 2 touchdowns. I mean, Quincy Williams was okay. Like, I'm grasping the straws to give positives to this team, and it's not working because they're just terrible.
And
trade the team? Yes. Relocate? Yes.
No, just be a different fan. Yes.
Yes.
No.
If I could, I would. I'd be gone.
No, my question to you is: would you rather have the Rex Ryan era?
Yes.
Or would you rather have 100%? You'd rather have that defense and then that offense that just is we're just gonna run the ball. I mean, which I'll take.
Yeah, because at least they brought fun to the team, like, and they were at least encouraging, and you could, even though it didn't turn out very well, right after season 2, it went downhill real bad, but you could see like things happening, and you were excited about football. 2 back-to-back AFC championships, even though they lost in heartbreaking fashion. Bart Scott can't wait, all this stuff. They just it was so much more fun to watch that team. Mm-hmm. This team is it's not fun to watch Jets football, and that sucks as a football fan. The one thing I watch football for now is freaking fantasy, so that I can see my players, scoring touchdowns. Like that I want to watch the Jets game 100% from start to end and be happy with what I'm watching and be comfortable with the product and excited about it. And you can't be excited about this team. It's just so frustrating. And I keep saying frustrating over and over because it just is. There's nothing more to say. This team is it's depressing, and it's annoying, and it's gross, and I feel dirty being a Jet fan. Like, I really don't know anymore. And I know it's going to get worse, and it's going to be the same story over and over where I'm talking about how bad the quarterback was, and how the receivers can't get open. The offensive linemen are basically getting pancaked themselves. And then you look at the defense, and they're, bending almost to the point of breaking. Maybe they're eventually going to break, because it's going to happen if you keep getting your offense roasted this bad. 6 points in 2 games. 2 freaking field goals.
So my
you're an
question to you
NFL
now is,
franchise.
Do you think it gets better? Do you think they kind of turn around the offense here this week against the Titans?
I know
definitely
it's
an easier defense.
I know the Titans are an easier. I really don't think so. I mean, I know the Broncos are really good, and the Pats always have the Jets' number for multitude of
Yep.
reasons, including rookies. But like you look at the first week, and the Panthers weren't supposed to be this good defense, and maybe they're gonna, maybe they
Sneaky
are a
good.
top 10 defense
Yeah.
and not sneaky good. So maybe they faced 3 really good defenses, and that's the reason. But Tennessee,
What's it-
they're the best defense they're gonna have is taking Derrick Henry and running it down the Jets' throat,
Yeah.
and that's what's
Yeah.
gonna
Just
happen. I see him
possessing the
getting
ball.
25 touches at least, and him just destroying linebackers. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, the big thing, that O-line for the Jets has to be better. Wilson's been sacked. Just looking at this, 15 times. It's most in the NFL already in his young career. It's been garbage, for him, and it's been garbage since Sam Darnold was in. Hopefully with Tennessee's defense has been pretty lenient. So you hope against them, and you hope against the Falcons. The week after that, this offense can kind of get something going.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, like
it's
I said,
tough
I
finding
really honestly
positives.
don't know what to say. It just sucks. Just really sucks. All right, let's talk about some fun games, because there were a lot of fun games this season, or this
A lot
this
of great
week.
games.
Looking especially. Sorry, so coming up, right? We have Thursday Night Football, Jacksonville, Cincy. I do think Cincy continues to win. I think Jacksonville. I can see Urban Meyer coming out half the season. He's looked lost at times. He's looked bad just overall as a coach. I don't know that he's long for the NFL, and that's a bad thing to say for a team that really needs stability. And they were thinking that Urban could kind of provide that. I don't think he's going to provide that, because he's been pretty awful. That quarterback,
Yeah.
the pick six, and then he had the Hail Mary interception. I mean, I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence. I feel bad
I'll
for
say,
a lot of. I mean, I don't know if
so
I
that's the
feel
crazy
worse
thing
for
too, is,
Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson. They're both
or,
just.
or Justin Fields. That's another thing. Is
Yeah, I mean, Fields had one start, and the thing with Fields, right? Go ahead. Sorry, AJ.
Well, so I say, who would have thought that those first 3 quarterbacks? Well, Trey Lance obviously hasn't gone in, but 3 of those guys, who would have thought that out of all of them would be playing bad football? All their teams would be crap. I mean, I know with Fields, he's dealing with Matt Nagy and that terrible coaching. But I mean, I don't think he looked impressive.
Yeah,
part of it is that the game plan that they had for him, or is
it was
that him
terrible.
playing, or is that both? You hope it's more just game plan. But I mean, he didn't look impressive at all in his first start.
No, he was bad. He was real bad.
So, I mean, who would have thought that Mac Jones, as of right now,
He's gonna look the best out of all of them.
Yeah. And of course,
well, I think when Trey Lance does start playing, he's going to look really good, especially with that team. I just think they're too talented to make him look bad.
I mean, and that's also, Shanahan and that offense. He makes Jimmy Garoppolo look great. Even with his strange behind the back fumble forward pass, or not forward pass, whatever he was doing there.
It was bad, whatever it was doing. But I mean, so looking at this week, right? Jacksonville, Cincy with the win against Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh looks really bad. Ben Roethlisberger, I've never seen someone age so quickly in 2 years, I feel like. Najee Harris had actually the receiving lead at 102, because they just kept dumping it off, because he had that one interception where Ben tripped over himself and then threw it to the linebacker. Like, literally, he was like, "Here, have it." He tossed it to him. I mean, that's one of the funniest things that I've seen. And I mean, it's just that franchise needs a quarterback and needs one terribly, because I cannot see this going on next year. He's got to be. If I were him, I'd start retiring now. He's that bad.
That's the crazy thing too, is they actually have a really great offense too. All 3 of those wide receivers are fantastic.
Yeah,
all three
Claypool, who might be
are
injured.
yeah, all three are deep threats. And then you
Deontay
have
Johnson, yep. Juju.
Najee Harris, who's looked amazing in his first couple starts.
Their
And that
offensive line is
defense,
terrible, though.
well, yeah, but so
And
that's
the
the one thing
defense
is
is missing T.J. Watt.
but should still be pretty.
Yeah.
That defense carried them last year,
Mm-hmm.
throughout the season, and that offense didn't look good. So I don't understand why they didn't prepare a little bit sooner for his replacement, and are still, what was it, Mason Rudolph, right? Still have Mason
Yeah,
Rudolph
his stupid
as the
forehead.
backup.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why, after that whole situation, after him starting, why they didn't decide to draft another quarterback and somebody for the future. Because
You would have figured.
Big Ben's the one that's holding that team back, I think.
Oh, it's bad. It's not even close. It is absolutely. He is clearly one of the worst things happening on that team, and they're gonna continue to reap the negatives for him being that kind of a quarterback right now. I wanted to look at quarterback prospects because I do feel like there are a ton this draft, and I feel like there's a lot of teams that could get a decent quarterback in this draft coming up, and kind of be lucky, lucking out. We talked about Matt Corral from Old Miss. Or actually, I didn't talk about Matt Corral. Matt Corral, Old Miss, who looked pretty good. You have Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma, who's projected in that one, top, end of the first round. Sam Howell, North Carolina. We did talk about Malik Willis from Liberty. And then you have the kid from Arizona State, Daniels. And then lastly was the kid from Nevada. Why am I blanking on his name again? Carson Strong. So there's about 5 first-round talent quarterbacks. So we'll see what happens for the draft. But all right. So quickly going back, right? So Buffalo destroys Washington, smokes them. Washington defense is really hurting, and that's one of the more shocking things for me. Yeah, because that defensive line, they have talent at linebacker. Their corners are very good. The entire defense you figure should be, one of the teams that you look forward to watching smack around offenses. I know Buffalo's good, and Josh Allen had a field day, 5 touchdowns, 4 passing, they're 1 rushing. But you can't look like that against a Buffalo team when that's really your bread and butter is defense. Chicago.
Yeah,
Go ahead, sir.
I say, with them playing Atlanta this week, I think it's kind of a get right game for that D line, hopefully for Chase Young, who's been, as we said last week, has been nowhere this season. I think Sweat's been playing, pretty well.
Montez.
It just that's been the biggest shocker, I think, in the NFC East. We thought that, Washington, with that defense and with obviously Fitzpatrick going out, we thought that offense was gonna be good. I think the offense has played pretty well. But that defense has been the real bummer. And who would think that in that NFC East, we'd be talking about the Cowboys with, that defense playing, pretty decent, and the offense has been looking amazing, that they would be I think they're the clear-cut favorites to win that division, hands down.
They've impressed me. I don't want to say it, but they have. I mean, their defense has looked really good. Trayvon Diggs looks awesome. He's one of the better corners in the league right now, and he wasn't someone, he was actually, they were thinking about maybe he would be cut in training camp. And, he was on Hard Knocks, and they kind of made it seem like that might be something where it didn't really happen. And, I love the linebackers. They have too many, but I love the linebackers. I think they even have, because Dexter Lawrence was out, they even had Micah Parsons playing defensive end in that game, and they were rotating linebackers through. The defensive line looks really good. And then obviously the offense, right? Dak Prescott has been extremely good for them. MVP candidate already. Even when his 2 big receivers don't get the ball, I think, total Lamb and Amari Cooper had about 100 yards, but then Dalton Schultz comes in and he's looking really good. 2 touchdowns, 80 yards. He was dishing the ball all over the place. I just, this team is quietly looking like one of the top teams in the league. I know,
Mhm.
Zeke with 100 yards, almost 100 yards rushing. Tony Pollard was still pretty good. Jalen Hurts kind of showed you what he is, which is a learning quarterback, someone that has uber talent, and
Can
he
make
can
those
rush the
plays.
ball, he can pass the yard, pass, but against a good team, you're not gonna look that good. He had the 2 interceptions, the 2 sacks. I think he had a fumble as well. It was pretty costly. Um, yeah, I'm impressed with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't think I'd say that.
No, yeah, and like you mentioned before, Zeke's, he had that quiet first game, but that's the
Yep.
Bucks defense with running the ball. I think
Yeah.
he's shown that
Vita
obviously.
Vey is fantastic.
Yeah,
Talk
but
talk about
like
a lineman.
yeah, I mean that whole offensive line is has been fantastic. I think for what 5 years, 6 years now, or something like that. They've always had a
Yep.
great great line. But I mean with going back to like Zeke, his he's not just a runner. He does so much more. I mean, he is such a great pass blocker. He does obviously run routes and stuff like that. So he adds a lot more. I know fantasy wise and stuff like that, he can be disappointment for people, but you know, it's not just him running the ball all the time. And Tony Pollard's been playing really well. I mean, he played really well last year too, and stuff like that. When Zeke was hurt and things like that. But
Yep.
I mean, the Cowboys have been really impressive.
They have. So then, right, obviously, we had a couple other pretty good games last week. Chicago got blitzkrieg by Cleveland. They kind of just ran all over them. Baker, pretty quiet day, but overall pretty good leader for that team. Baltimore with one of the more stunning comebacks. They
Dude,
they had that 4th and
crazy
19
game.
that they converted. There was the penalty that was called on them on Detroit where they got the ball back. And then Justin Tucker, who is, for my money, the best kicker of all time,
Talking about Legatron,
boots a
right? That should be his new nickname.
66-yard field goal. And what's even funnier, you see the kick, and it's got the trajectory, right? It's dead nuts center. And it doinks, and you see the Lions fans in the back go, yeah! And then all of a sudden it goes back, and you see, like, just funny.
Well, it was funny because I watched
Detroit.
that and I was like, did that go in, or did that go forward? That
Yeah.
crazy kick. And man, it has to be it might be more discouraging to be a Lions fan than a
I don't
Jets fan
know.
because they
I don't know.
lose in
No,
just
you
the
know why it's not?
worst fashion.
They lose in bad fashion. That's one of the things that sucks. But think about this, right? They lose this game, right? We lost on a butt fumble, so I think we take that, right? But if you look at it, the Lions fans have had Hall of Famers play for them and exciting players.
Yeah,
When was
fair.
the last Hall of Fame Jets player? Nick Mangold at center?
See,
Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders, Matthew Stafford will eventually be in the Hall of Fame. I think he will. Especially if he keeps playing the way he's playing now, you give him 4 years and he's in the Hall of Fame.
well,
Especially if he can get a playoff game.
would he go in the Hall of Fame as a Lion or as a Ram?
Oh, he'd absolutely ask if he could be in as a Ram.
Yeah.
If he wins a Super Bowl, I think he could go in as a Ram that way. But they've at least had uber talents play for them. The Jets have had dog shit. Oh, I'm sorry. I said Nick Mangold, Darrell Revis, obviously is surefire Hall of Famer.
Marshall Faulk.
I forget. He was on the Jets for 2 minutes.
Oh.
Or not Marshall Faulk.
All right.
Who are you talking
about?
Brandon
back.
Marshall?
No, the running back.
You're talking about Tomlinson, LaDainian Tomlinson, for the two minutes he was on our team.
Well. So anyway,
that was with the Rexy era.
What I was saying about the Lions and that fandom is they go through the roller coaster of up and down. We at least know that the Jets suck, so we're not expecting anything. But
I think they know they suck too.
The highs of highs and lows of lows. But they're always in games every year. They're always apparently the worst team, in the NFL, and they're always in games and they lose in the most heartbreaking fashion. At least 3 to 4 times a year.
Would you rather have 2 back-to-back just terrible losses, or would you rather get smoked and only score 6 points 2 games and just know that you have no chance?
I'd rather get smoked just so I can turn
Oh
off and
no,
watch better
no,
teams play.
no. I'd rather feel the
No,
euphoria for a little bit, like, oh hey, we're gonna win
nope.
this game. It's gonna be so cool, and then just get shot. Like
No,
I,
I'd rather
it's just
rage
not
quit
exciting.
after I'd rather rage quit after like the
uh,
second or third touchdown and just be like,
yeah,
all right, we're done.
yeah,
Bye
drive.
bye.
Yeah. Tennessee beating Indy, which I figured Indy would put a little more of a fight, but that Carson Wentz looked real bad. Two bad ankles. He couldn't even move.
Yeah, it's looking like a great
Chargers.
trade.
That Chargers KC game was a lot of fun. I mean, that was one of the worst interceptions I've seen Mahomes throw. That first one, but Herbert looks like the real deal. Clyde Edwards-Helaire finally comes out of it. Mike Williams has been really good for them, and he's a lot of fun to watch because he used to be just a boomer bust, home run play guy. Now he gets the ball
Played
in
great.
space, and he's going to move. So good for the Chargers. They look like the
real quick
class of that
too.
division.
Real quick with that one, I don't get the whole throwing the touchdown. Why not just kneel it and kick the field goal? I think the Chiefs had one timeout left. I don't get
I mean,
why not just kneel it and then just kick the field goal? Why go for the touchdown? Why even
probably
give
because
them?
you think that.
And the
I
thing
don't
too
know.
was they missed the extra point. That was the whole thing. I mean, obviously that touchdown was great. That whole drive was great. But like,
Yep.
I don't understand that call by Brandon Staley. Throwing it and
I mean, they
then
were
giving the
tied,
ball
right?
back to
So
the
they
Chiefs.
wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah, but they would have won if they just knelt it and then just kicked the field goal. Instead, they
Yeah, I really
gave
don't know.
Mahomes and they missed the extra point too. So they could have potentially lost that game, and Staley would have been
31-30.
crucified. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what he was thinking. That's a good question. Good credit for you on that one. But I still like the Chiefs, the Chargers. I think they're might be the cream of the crop in that division because KC in red zone has not looked very good, which is funny because the weapons they have. But and then would you have thought that
they're adding
KC would
another
be
one.
Yeah?
And,
Would you think that KC would have been the worst team in that division to start the first three games?
Yeah, I mean,
they're dead last.
No, obviously, no, but I mean, I think the biggest surprise has been Vegas and how they've played. I kind of and Denver. I expected the Chargers to be one of the top teams. I mean, I think the Chiefs obviously lost in a heartbreaking fashion, not only this game but also against the Ravens. The week
last
before.
week Ravens. Yep.
So, I mean, those are two games I think that they should have had. I mean, you could say that they could be 3-0 right now too. I think they turn it around. Obviously.
Yeah.
That division is interesting too, man.
Yeah, it is. That New Orleans game against New England, beating them 28-13, I really did think that you'd see a really bad Jameis Winston. But Alvin Kamara looked really good, and they go into Foxborough and they beat the Patriots. Cincy, we talked about the win over Pittsburgh. Arizona with another win. I know that the Jaguars are bad, but they looked really good. AJ Green, came out and at a party. Vegas with the overtime win against Miami, where I actually thought Jacoby Brissett played pretty decent. He kept them in the game, and Derek Carr looking like an MVP as well.
But Peyton Barber played well too.
Peyton Barber, 111 rushing yards. The Seattle game, Minnesota takes it 30-17. Kirk Cousins also putting out an MVP performance. Alex Madison coming in for Dalvin Cook. And then Justin Jefferson.
Sorry, real quick. That's another team, the Seahawks, man. I thought they would have a better start than 1 and 2. That defense has been awful, and the offense hasn't impressed me all that much either.
They try to run the ball way too much. I feel like Pete Carroll just can't get away from the run, and that whole thing, let Russ cook. I mean, I'm not necessarily sure that Russell Wilson's an MVP, but I feel like they should give him more chances than they're giving him to pass the ball. The Sunday night game, I'm saving the Tampa Bay game. Well, actually, let's do the Tampa game now. LA Rams 34-24. It was a little. Tampa scores at the end, kind of to bring it within 10, but they were really 17 down. Tampa, I mean, their defense looked bad.
Yep.
Gronk got destroyed by, I forgot the linebacker,
Was
but he was
rib
hit
shots.
ribs. Deshaun Jackson with the home run ball. Sony Michel was running on them. Cooper Kupp is fantastic with Matthew Stafford. And the Rams just showing that they're the class in the NFC.
Yeah, the Rams, I mean, they looked great. So the thing I don't know if what Castle was on or whatever that I was watching, and they were saying that the Rams have like the highest percentage of throwing the ball in like the first half, and then they just start running the ball like crazy in the second half. Just beating you down with their running backs and stuff like that. Yep, that's Comet. That's the making his way down.
Nice.
You'll never see Vixen. Vixen's always under the bed. But yeah, I mean that Rams offense. It's crazy how much just having Matthew Stafford changes that offense so much. Like. I think Goff has looked pretty decent in Detroit.
You feel bad for Goff, really.
Yeah.
I mean, because he wasn't great for them in like the big games, and he had a really bad last 1 to 1.5 years. But he was there. He got the long-term contract. He played really well for him that year to kind of gain that contract, and you kind of feel bad for him.
Yep, but I mean how do you not have the Rams as Super Bowl favorites? After that whooping
they are
that they gave them. But yeah, that was a great game. Yep. I'm excited to hopefully see that in the NFC Championship.
Then lastly, Green Bay 30-28 win over San Fran. Obviously the two former coach mates.
I'd say
what are you
another heartbreaking one.
Was it 37 seconds?
Yeah, just storming down the field, patting Aaron Rodgers.
Crazy. Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers knew it too, because see him fist bumping after he made that big play to Adams. Adams should have been out of the game because he got concussed. There's no doubt he was concussed. He was out. I don't know how
I don't understand how he. I'm surprised he's not in concussion protocol right now.
Yeah,
it was insane.
All right, so amazing. Let's go quickly. We'll just say the games before we head out, and we'll give our predictions. So, because we did a little differently this week. So, Jacksonville, Cincy. I got Cincy.
Yeah, Cincy.
Same thing. Washington, Atlanta. I think Washington gets on the board, going 2-2. I think that maybe their defense can step up this time. Also, Kyle Pitts has been just non-existent. I feel like
that
top
whole
rookie
has been terrible.
Yeah,
that's I check it up for that too, and I agree. I think Washington, that defense is this is a get right game for this defense.
It is. Washington, Buffalo. I mean, it's their 14.5 point favorites for a reason, and I think they're going to be more than that.
Yep.
Detroit, Chicago. I mean,
so
they don't know who's going to start, right? They're talking about Nick Foles possibly even getting a start. I don't know if they've actually announced it yet, but there was talk about all three quarterbacks starting for Chicago. Yeah, I'm picking Detroit.
Yeah, same here. That defense has looked So Detroit.
Carolina at Dallas, probably the game of the week. I'm gonna go Cowboys.
I'll go opposite with you just to make it even, interesting.
All right.
I think the defense can somehow stop them. And Sam Darnold's looked pretty well, so we'll see.
He's been impressive.
The big thing is obviously McCaffrey out, so we'll see what happens.
I wanted to keep him, so hopefully Chuba Hubbard looks pretty good. Indy at Miami. I'm going to take the Fins. It's amazing. I'm going to say Indianapolis is going to go in to start the season.
I'll go opposite again too. I think I'll go with the Colts.
All right. You think Wentz battles through, or you think it's going to be Jacob Eason?
I'm going to say a little bit of both. But I think they're going to try to pound the ball a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Cleveland, Minnesota. I have Cleveland here. Talking about a team that's going to pound the rock.
Yeah, Cleveland. Not even, I think, really a question.
Giants, New Orleans. I mean, sorry, Giants fans. I'm gonna go with that defense in New Orleans. I think they stop you.
Yeah,
And
it's New Orleans.
Tennessee at the Jets.
I really think the
Titans.
Giants could go 0-6.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Jets Titans. I'm taking the Titans. And I'm gonna say that my bold prediction, Derrick Henry rushes for
200
I'll
yards.
say 200 yards. Yeah, I'm gonna say 200 yards.
Kansas
Yeah,
at
so let's
Philly.
go to KC Philly. I'm KC. It's a get right game. I think they look really good on offense. Arizona at the Rams, also probably a game of the week candidate. Is the game of the week candidate. They're both 3-0. I'm going to go the Rams, but I could see this being a very tight game, and their offense is dueling.
Yeah, I think the Rams defense will have a big stop, so I'll go with the Rams.
Seattle at San Fran. I don't think Seattle gets out of this rut anytime soon. I think San Fran is just too good of a team. I'm going to take them.
Yeah, I think with the plethora of running backs that they have there, San Fran's going to take it.
Yeah,
Baltimore,
Denver. Denver leading the NFC West. I'm not thinking they're going to make it out this week. I think Baltimore takes this one.
I'm gonna go Denver. I think that
Really?
defense is. I think that defense is for real.
All right.
I still question Baltimore's offense, man. Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Yeah,
Denver.
I mean, Lamar always looks pretty good, and as long as Marquise Brown, not Hollywood, as long as Marquise Brown keeps dropping the ball, that's going to be an issue. But I like the tight end, I like the running game, I like Ravens. Pittsburgh at Green Bay. I mean, that's it's almost a no contest now. It's like Pittsburgh's become the Jets. I'm taking Green Bay, and I don't want any part of Big Ben. He's on the spot, and he is out bad.
Yep, agreed. Green Bay.
Tampa at New England Sunday night in Foxborough. Brady brings it back, and he's going to slaughter his old team. And I'm going to enjoy it, even though I hate rooting for Brady. I think Gronk has at least 2 to 3 touchdowns, and he's going to spike it all over Bill Belichick's field.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear his dumb, giggly Labrador Retriever laugh and him spiking the ball. It'd be great.
Gronk smash. Monday night, Vegas Chargers. Actually, a very good game.
Interesting game.
I'm going Chargers. I think Vegas is going to turn into a pumpkin soon. Maybe not, very soon. I think they'll probably be, 4-2 or 4-1. 4-2 and 5-1. Maybe in the last 6 games. But I think the Chargers. I like their offense. I like their defense. I'm a big Charger fan.
I like the Chargers too, but just for the sake of it, I'm gonna go Vegas just because I think they're gonna have a typical Chargers loss. Because they're another team that has like heartbreaking losses.
Yeah.
So I think Vegas might go 4-0.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that praise he got for that touchdown on 4th down instead of kicking the field goal and was bold, but. Pick. I like it. Sam, you want to come in for some trivia before we head out?
Sure.
All right. So this trivia is for both of our terrible teams. So there are 5 current NFL teams right now with a record of 0-3. They are obviously the Jets, Giants, Colts, Jaguars, and Lions. Since the 1980s, there have been 5 NFL teams to come back from an 0-3 start and to make the playoffs. Can you name those teams / seasons?
I feel like the Giants were one of those teams, right?
I think they were 0-2.
The Giants were not.
Oh, when they won the Super Bowl, they were 0-2?
The Jets were, though.
When did the Jets do that?
So the Jets in 1981, they went 10-5. They lost in the first round to the Bills.
Yeah, that doesn't count. Get out of here.
Does not count.
Weren't the Texans 0-3 when that was the whole year that our favorite podcast said he was going to cut off his pinky, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So the 2018 Texans
how about
won
the
10-6, lost to the Dolphins.
The
Washington football team, no.
Ooh, okay.
I mean, what years are we looking at here?
Seattle Seahawks.
80s, 90s. Only current
80s
team was
and
the 2018
90s?
Texans.
Oh Jesus!
You got 3 more. 4 more. Sorry.
Not
there were
Seattle
16.
Seahawks.
Not Seahawks.
Who? Yeah, I mean,
Detroit
you're going to
Lions.
stub us on this one.
Okay. Well, I
You said
kinda figured
Detroit
this.
Lions?
So the Lions in '95, they also went 10-6.
Oh, you got it right.
They lost in the first round to Philly. The
Wait,
92
in 98, no, it was the 90s or something. There was it was 98?
98. Who was it?
Who faced, was it the Giants?
No one circles the wagon like
Oh, Buffalo.
Buffalo Bills in '98. First round loss to the Dolphins. They also won 10-6. All right, so these last two are a little interesting. So the '92 Chargers, they beat the Chiefs in the wild card round and then lost the Dolphins. So they're the only team to actually win their wild card round after going 0-3. And then this one was really interesting. So the 1982 Bucks, they went 5-4. So the reason for the shortened season was because of the there was a strike. So half of the NFL made the playoffs. So they lost in the first round to Dallas. Let me pull up this little thing I have here. But yeah, so half of the NFL made the playoffs.
That's pretty funny.
So
yeah, I would be pretty pissed if I was a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
didn't the Patriots go 11-5 when Brady went down with his ankle injury?
Yep.
Matt
Castle.
11-5 and not make the playoffs is actually
it's bad.
Fantastic.
Well, I think it was the Jets, right? The Jets and the Dolphins both made it, I think, that year.
Wow.
2011?
I thought so, yeah. Wasn't that Rex Ryan?
I thought it was 08.
Yeah, it might have been.
I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong. Definitely the Dolphins. That was Pennington, right?
Dolphins?
Yeah. Did he win the playoff, the Dolphins? I'll look into that. More next week. Take her home, Sam.
You better follow that up. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Little football talk. Billy Dean, you still eating. But next time.
Still mailing it in.
Yeah, hopefully he'll show up on time 15 minutes early. This is Football Primetime. See you next week.